Hey y'all! So my new minimalist drop point knife from CRKT showed up a couple days ago, and actually I like this little knife quite a bit. Unfortunately, within minutes of opening up the package, I realized I was going to have to return it. So don't go anywhere, come on back and find out why. Que paso, y'all? It is I, Doug, your friendly neighborhood pole, coming to you direct and in full living color from the luxurious, spacious PoleArms Studios, aka my post-divorce two-bedroom apartment. How the heck are you? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. First things first, take care of a little business. If you guys really want to support a small fish YouTube channel like mine, please, 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 at the bottom corner of the screen, there's a little subscribe button. Go ahead and push that for me. And as you're watching this video, if you like anything about it, even if it's just my Pennsylvania, Kentucky hybrid accent, then go ahead and hit the like button. All of those things really go a long way towards getting me to my goal of finally monetizing this channel. So that's that. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hallelujah! Another angel must have just gotten its wings because a new weapon just showed up in my mail. Guys, this is the Minimalist knife from CRKT. It is the drop point blade. CRKT, great brand of knife. I'm a big fan. My EDC pocket knife is from that company. Just a big fan of CRKT. So this is from their minimalist line. You have 8 different blade styles. That's not including the finish options that some of the styles offer. That's just the shape of the blade. 8 total styles. In addition to the drop point blade style, you have 7 other styles to choose from. You have a katana, which is the newest style offered. You have a bowie, a karambit, a cleaver, a Persian, a Warncliffe, and a Tonto. Now all of the minimalist knives, regardless of the blade style, they all have a few features in common. Probably the most noticeable is this really unique 3-finger groove handle or grip, as well as the square knot box braid that comes off of the bottom. Now that's not a lanyard, that's just a little extra something that you can grip onto with your 4th finger. Speaking of those finger grooves, it's not just in the G10 grip. Those finger grooves are actually incorporated into the tang. You have full tang construction. Okay, tang goes all the way down to the pommel, and those 3 finger grooves are a part of the tang, as is the jimping on top. And then they just put a G10 grip or handle over top to match the curvature of the tang. I have fairly large hands. I don't quite have the sausage fingers of my father, but I mean, they're getting there. And I can fit my 3 fingers in that groove all the way down with very little resistance. I can fit my 3 fingers in those grooves very comfortably. And then of course, that little braid at the end allows me to get my 4th finger around it. So it is a very stable hold. And then you throw your thumb up on that jimping on top. And this small knife in large hands becomes very, very stable. And even if I switched positions and I went more to an ice pick grip, I would get my bottom 3 fingers in the grooves and then pinch that braid with my index finger and thumb. And again, it feels very, very secure in my big hands. Let's get you some measurements here. From tip to pommel, not including that braid, you have 5 3/16 inches. You include that little square knot box braid, and the overall length becomes 7 3/8 inches. The blade itself, this drop point blade, I'm not sure about the other styles, but this blade is 2 3/8 inches from the tip to the start of the G10 handle there. Realistically, the cutting edge is more like 2 3/16 inches. So guys, this is a tiny little knife. It truly is a minimalist knife. So why did I get this knife? I am in the market for a last ditch knife, or a weapon retention knife, as some people call it. That's a little knife that can be worn preferably in the abdominal section of your belt, so that you can ideally deploy it from its sheath with your weak hand. I'm right-handed, so my weak side, my weak hand would be my left hand. The intent is to be able to, if your strong hand is being occupied, either trying to fend somebody off or defend yourself, if somebody is going for your gun and you're trying to grab onto their arm to keep them from getting your gun, or if you are trying to draw your gun in a self-defense situation and somebody grapples with you and holds your hand, holds your arm so that you cannot draw your weapon, I would have this little knife in a position to where I could use my weak hand, my left hand, to deploy this knife and slice, cut, stab, poke the person to get them away from me, to free up my strong hand, ideally, so that I could draw my weapon at that point. A knife like this, carried in that abdominal area of your belt, is also great for drawing from a seated position. So if you're in your car, if you're sitting at a restaurant, whatever the case may be, if you're in a seated position and somebody starts to grapple with you, you can access this knife and get them off of you. So for those purposes, I really think this is a perfect little knife. I like it very much. However, the reason I'm sending this back, I said at the top of the video that I realized within minutes of opening up the package that I was going to have to send this knife back. The reason I'm sending it back is obviously not because of the knife itself. Like I said, it's a nice little knife, and I really think it would do a great job for its intended purposes, or my intended purposes. The reason I'm sending it back is because of the sheath. The sheath, move this out of the way here, the sheath and the included belt clip. Okay, and there are multiple problems that make this whole package, this whole setup, a deal breaker. First thing, and the thing I noticed right away, and that's something I can just not get around, is and so many sheaths and holsters fall into this design pitfall, and I just don't get it. But when you put the knife in the sheath, this piece of plastic is built out basically halfway into that first finger groove. So if I'm grabbing this, again, in a self-defense, last ditch weapon retention situation, I'm not able to get a full grip. I can't get any of my fingers into their intended grooves because that little bit of plastic is blocking me from getting it. It's blocking me from getting a full combat grip on that knife. I need it to be out like this so that I can actually get my fingers in that groove. And I'm unable to do that the way this sheath is designed. Now, normally what I do, or what I would do, and what I have done on countless sheaths and holsters, is I'll take my Dremel and just make a little curve in there to match the curve of that finger groove, so that I could get a full combat grip on that knife. The problem is the only real retention this sheath has is right there. And in order to take enough material off with my Dremel to get a full combat grip on that first groove, I would have to cut into that retention area, and I would essentially ruin the sheath. It would no longer be able to retain the knife. So that is the major deal breaker with this whole package, is that sheath that is designed in a way that I can't even DIY it right. I can't take my Dremel to it and make it right like I have done with so many other sheaths and holsters. So that's the first problem, and it's the biggest one. It is the deal breaker of the bunch. But the next thing, and really equally, for all intents and purposes, as much of a deal breaker as the sheath itself, is the clip that comes with it. I noticed right away that this clip, and I keep saying clip, it's really not. You can see the screws go through. It's an enclosed belt loop. So this loop is too narrow for my belt, and it might not really come across on camera. But I have a double thick gun belt, a dedicated gun belt, and it's just too thick to actually fit in that very narrow loop. This would fit more, it would probably fit your standard, off the rack Walmart belt, or one of those nylon tactical belts, or Molly strap on a pack or a chest rig, something like that. But for me, this is not going to work. So if you don't have a double thick gun belt, and you have one of those other belts that I just mentioned, then this might work for you, and it might not be a deal breaker. But for me, it is. Now, the other issue with the sheath and the clip is that the holes, the grommets are not equidistant. They're not spaced out equally. So you are very limited with where you put this clip, and therefore how you wear it on your belt. Okay, really, it's only meant to be carried horizontally. So there's no way to put the belt loop to position it for a vertical carry, to wear it straight up and down on your belt. There's no way to do that. You can only set it up so that you're carrying it horizontal. You can switch sides. Okay, the sheath is a mirror image of itself. Both sides are the same. So you can switch sides, so that will help you customize which side of your belt you carry it on. But you can only use those first 2 grommets. So you can switch sides, and you can switch you know, how you orient the blade, you know, blade up or blade down, you know, grip up or grip down. So you can only use those first 2. The last 2 grommets are spaced out further away than the first 2. So obviously the distance from this grommet to this one, and from this one to this one, is greater than the distance between these 2. So this loop will not fit on the back end of this sheath. Really, those two last grommets are just for that neck lanyard. So it's just a limitation to the customization and flexibility of the sheath and how you wear this knife. So although the knife itself is pretty fantastic, I'm very pleased with the knife itself and the design of the knife itself. It's just the included sheath and belt loop completely break the deal, and I'm gonna have to send it back. But what is a deal breaker for me might not be a deal breaker for you. So after watching this video, if you don't think that these issues with the sheath are a problem for you, then you know, I think it would be worth checking out this knife. Because like I said, the knife itself I'm very happy with, and if you can get past the issues with the sheath and the belt loop, then hey, give it a shot. The CRKT Minimalist drop point knife.